everybody, and welcome to Sonic Talk episode 518. This is the music and technology podcast that we do every week, Wednesday about 4 p.m. UK, although not next week, because next week is the holiday season, and we will be not doing a podcast then. I think the next one is going to be, I think it's the 3rd of January, which is the following Wednesday. So in many ways, you're actually getting an extra episode, because quite often it falls in between and we end up losing 2 episodes, but just the one this week. So I want to introduce you all to our guests. Oh, before I do, I want to say this week's show is sponsored by Bitwig. If you want to check out Bitwig DAW, we've got a little bit of a message coming up from there. It's a dynamic modular DAW with a highly customizable workflow, and also over iZotope. We have a competition from them a little bit later on. iZotope Ozone 8, you can win a copy, which we'll find out. It will be January before you find out whether you're going to be that winner. But once again, we thank them for sponsoring the show. Also say a quick hello to our chatties. They're in the chat room, which is at sonicstate.com/live. You can find all the details there, and also the YouTube chat room as well. Hello to you too, folks. Thanks for joining us. So let's start with our guests. Let's start with Mr. Rich Hilton, who's there in Connecticut, where he mans the controls of Nile Rodgers' studio and also plays in the travelling disco band Chic and plays a Roley. And of course, Rich, you're about to, head off and do a bunch of gigs over Christmas, right? Or certainly New Year.
We're doing the New Year's gig in London.
Wow,
on the BBC.
Yeah. That'll be fun. I might end up watching that as well if I'm not out partying myself. But
I hope you will. We'll ring in the New Year together in London.
That'll be lovely. What a lovely thought. Yeah. Nice to have you, Rich, of course, as ever. And we also have, I was going to go here. I'll go to here, Mr. Yoad Nevu, who came on a couple of weeks ago as a new guest. Yoad is, of course, very experienced mix engineer, producer, also works on a lot of stuff with Waves, where he's got a sort of... How do you split your time, Yoad? Is it kind of 50-50 or 25-75, or how does that work?
It's more like 25-75. So... I spent about a week out of every month here in Tel Aviv working for Waves, developing new products and things like that. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, it's good to have you here.
25.
Right. Okay. Got you. Yoad is on his mobile tethered because we were doing some network tests. So I'm sure it'll be fine. But if you get any glitches, that's why. But we try and push the barriers of technology to bring you this show every week. So we're doing that again. And also we have Mr. Dave Spears, GeForceSoftware.com, who is wearing a very lovely... Are you come dressed as Cheryl Cole to a fancy dress party there, Dave? Or...
Hey, man.
Hey.
Well, hey, man.
Did he caught fighting in the toilets?
Yes. But that was nothing to do with me and Cheryl Cole. No, I noticed that actually my camera's up really high. And so I found a hat, because if I was to do that, then all you get is flare off of the lights.
Well, of course,
so
Dave...
must find hat.
And we're looking at you. I mean, this is your new top secret synth layer facility, which is, I have to say, very densely populated with synthesizers. So, are you up and running now? All the lights are blinky.
Yeah, we've got quite a lot of blinking lights, quite a lot of blinking synths. Yeah, still more to fit in. We've still got the Chamberlain stuff and the Mellotron, but the Mellotron's in my room, which is upstairs in another building, and no one wants to help me lift it down the stairs. And honestly, my back's just not up for it. Even just getting that CS80 out and in and then back in again was just like, we're just looking at each other going, I'm too old for this shit. So, yeah.
Which is why, indeed, you make plugins.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, the Chamberlain, the M4 is 300 kilos.
Oh, my Lord.
So we don't really want to move that in a hurry. And that's been restored anyway, so they can keep that for a little while. But I'll give you a look round if you want. I can show you. Yeah, well,
maybe we'll have a look in a little while. I would say 300 kilograms, isn't that actually kind of pretty much illegal for any human being to lift these days? Yeah, isn't it got to be under kind of 40 kilograms and that's it?
Should be. I'm not getting it on as hand baggage on a plane, that's for sure.
I can't imagine what that would cost. I imagine what it would cost just to freight it would be astonishing. Anyway,
we bought it in LA. We bought it in LA and we freighted it back to the UK. So that was like, whoa. And that was rocket cargo as well. We didn't know about the kind of cheaper alternatives.
Oh my lord!
Anyway,
Wow.
yes, there you
Okay.
go.
I'm sure
The
it was
foolish
worth
things
it.
we do.
I'm sure it was worth it. Well, of course, this is the end of year show, so it seems like a fairly sensible thing to start thinking about. We normally, if we'd been a together publisher, we'd have started this kind of process in about October. We would have run polls, and we would have said, you know, okay, what's your favourite X, Y, and Z of the year? And we'd have had all these public votes, and we would have creamed it on the page views because we could have put a different product on each page, you know, but we didn't. So we've decided to do it much more ad hoc and on the fly. So what would you say favourite gear releases from 2017? I mean, it doesn't have to be a whole selection of things. I'm just thinking if there's anything specific that you thought, hey, that was really cool for this year. So I'm gonna everybody's thinking, don't start with me, don't start with me, don't start with me. Yoad, I'm gonna start with you. It can be a product that you can be a product that you've worked on. Well, you know, last in, first out, or first in, last out. I don't know how it works, but so you get to go first.
FIFO, isn't it? Yeah. So I would say I haven't actually tried it yet, but I'm definitely going to buy it, which is the Prophet Rev 2.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's still considered, 2017 or 18 or whatever. But I think that's quite a big one for me because I love at the moment I have 2 Tetras because I really like the sound. I don't know. For me, there's something, and I think that would probably link us to one of the topics that you're going to talk about today.
It may well do.
So yeah, I think that the Prophet 8 was a really good machine. I actually prefer the Tetras because of the feedback and overdrive, which sounds amazing. It's not quite the same in the Rev 2, but the Rev 2 offers what they call shape, which is basically pulse width, if you will, on all waveforms, which is something very interesting. And I just like the sound of it. I like the sound that there's something about the headroom. It's a modern synth, but so it has all the modern, matrix and all that, and loads of envelopes and LFOs and all that. But there's something really classy about just the sound of it, which I really like. I know a lot of people don't like the Curtis filters, but if you don't crank up the resonance too high, then which I kind of try to avoid anyway, because with bass lines and stuff like that, you want to get the full kind of oomph and low end and silkiness, and I really like the sound of it. So yeah, I think that's the one for me.
Excellent. Well, I may be able to help you there if you're looking to purchase one, because we've got a review one here that they've offered to us at a price, and we're not in the market. So speak to me after class.
That's absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, and I have to concur. I mean, I really enjoyed reviewing the thing. I mean, I think it's the amount of modulation possibilities are really quite. It's one of those synths that you go, yeah, that's great. If only I had oh wait, I've got another envelope, or wait, there's another routing here, another mod matrix, or whatever. So I can definitely concur that it will give you all of that stuff. Right, Rich, you're up next. How about you? Product of 2017.
Well, it's hard to go up against the mighty Dave Smith in this kind of thing. So I'm going to suggest something else, even though I think his stuff is as good as possibly could be had. And though I haven't actually physically played it, I'd say the Matrix Brute deserves some recognition because it's a brilliant design.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. I had that in my short list as well, actually, because, I mean, and I remember when I reviewed it, it was just kind of like, I like the fact that somebody's actually had the cojones to make something so outrageous, whether or not in this climate, that's what I liked about it. And I think that counts for a lot too.
Yeah, it was made out of what I believe was some form of pure motive rather than let's see if we can stick a few oscillators in a box for $500 kind of thing. It's a cool thing. I think they did well in designing that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Best, ever from them.
That's a fairly good shout. Yeah. Good call. Good call. All right, Mr. Spears, over to you. Oh, you've frozen. I don't know if you're still there or whether you've just frozen yourself into a kind of freeze. It looks like somebody's just coming in the room and you've turned round and maybe they've tripped over the Ethernet cable, and that means that, that you're offline for a bit while you fix that. Well, that's okay, because I've got a couple of other things here. So while we wait for Dave perhaps to come online, I made a short list. I thought the Novation Peak actually is a pretty good little synth. It's got some... because it's got 3 oscillators and the amount of the effects are really nice in it, and there's a lot of mod and a lot of audio rate mod. I think that's a good contender. Matrix Brute was on there as well. Hallion 6, probably not the most obvious one, but what I really liked about the idea of Hallion 6, which is the Steinberg sampling system, is you can effectively create your own standalone sample instruments with kind of interfaces and built-in other business. So that was a good one. What else have I got? The Rowley Seaboard Block and the Touche, another French connection there. But it seems like we have Dave's been breeding. So there we go. We have Mr. Chris. Hello there, Chris. Chris and Dave, the founding fathers of GeForce Software, together in one room. What does it take to get them together in one room, eh? Oh, look at that. And a bottle of champagne and a little... How are you, Chris? You all right?
Merry Christmas. Yes, Nick, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Lovely to see you in person. I haven't seen you in for ages because you don't do trade shows anymore, at least the ones I go to. So it's been a while. See you at NAMM then, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
let's go. Oh, look, we could do a... What's that? That's a 5 up. So we have Yoad Navo and Rich Hilton. Yoad, this is Chris from GeForce Software, and Rich, Chris, as well.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Rich. Hi, guys.
So we were
Merry
just
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
In fact, we've all got our Christmas hats on of some kind. In fact, you've got one.
Well,
sort of.
I'm
well,
very green
shirt
this
on.
Christmas.
Yoad did try to find a hat for this, but it was a tambourine rather precariously balanced on his head, and we felt it could have presented some kind of health and safety issue. But yeah, that's cool. So, chaps, we were just talking about,
more like...
highlight releases from 2017. So everybody's kind of been around. We just wondered if there was anything specific that you kind of went, that was pretty cool.
I don't know. Did it come out in 2017? Because for me, the Mini Moog, the new Mini Moog.
The D. Okay. Yes, I think it was in the summer, wasn't it?
The Moog one. Yeah. I think we only got that this year. And I was a bit reticent about it at first, but honestly, it's like you can plumb in aftertouch, and then it becomes like a sort of pro soloist. And it's amazing. I mean, obviously we've A/B'd it because we've got a very early board Mini Moog, which obviously Mini Monster was done on, and that has got real characteristics. One of which is that the keyboard scaling is completely up the Kyber, so it'll be in tune down here and out of tune up here. And I've learnt over the years that if I need it in tune up here, I'd need to adjust it to this point on the master tune. But this one's just like a brand new Mini Moog out of a box, and it's got another LFO. So for me, yeah, that was a highlight. Other than that,
It also signals a call for us to get a Korg Odyssey, because the frustration with the scaling on the Mini's gone with the new one. Now Dave's focus is on the frustration with the
because we've got
that we
4
have.
Odysseys,
and they're all
and every single one of them's got some kind of issue and ends up with something. That the one with the kind of illuminated lights, which looks great, is great, but those lights end up affecting the output, so there's noise on there. The Mark ones, yeah, we had that fixed, but then that turned a bit flaky, and there was obviously a weird batch of key bushings, so one key's a bit raised. Mark II's still up with Kent being fixed. Anyway, yeah. So it'd be nice to get a work, particularly in here, because the idea of here is that people come in and they just go, right, I want to work with this, and this. And obviously there's no guarantee that everything's going to be working, but where you can minimize the issues wherever possible, I think that would make sense. And then in software, oh God, I've spent most of my life in RX this year. So again, it's another one of those things that just makes me go, wow. And every iteration of it, there's always a kind of marked improvement in certain areas. So yeah, those are my two.
Okay, that's cool. Well, that sounds like a good batch. I don't know if anyone has anything to add to that, but that sounds like a good place to start. In fact, because we now have a couple of sponsors in the show, maybe the thing to do for me is to bring you a little message from our Bitwig sponsors. If you've not checked out Bitwig Studio 2.2, it's just out. Bitwig Studio 2.2 is here. Bitwig Studio combines both timeline and clip-based sequencing on Windows, macOS and Linux. It features VST3 support, plug-in crashing protection and a highly flexible user interface. With a lightning-fast workflow for keyboard, mouse and also touchscreens, it's great on the new Microsoft Surface devices. Modularity is also central to Bitwig Studio. It focuses on strengthening the way devices interact with one another and offers a highly flexible modulation routing system, so you can route almost anything to anywhere, including audio rate modulations. Bitwig also offers many sync options: MIDI clock master slave, MTC, CV and gate, hardware audio clock and Ableton Link. So why not try Bitwig Studio today? Go to bit.ly/Bitwig now and try it out for yourself. Thank you very much for their support. Right, okay, so next up, I wonder whether to go to this guy yet. Because, as you said, Yoad, it sort of links into, if I go to this 4-shot, it links into what you were talking about with the Rev 2. So if we start with this is one thing I shot actually at Super Booth, because I was looking online for some, let me see, I think I should probably skip past the ads. Hey, here we go. Urs Heckman, you've got a new thing here at Super Booth, right?
Yes, we do. So you have heard, and you all know that we did a soft synth called RePro 1, which is it's like a little bit like a vintage mono synth, and it's got a really strong character and all of that. And when we released it, immediately people asked, I want to be able to play chords with it, but it's a mono synth and that just didn't really work that well with it. So we sat down and we did this. We call it RePro 5, and as you can guess, it does chords. It's polyphonic.
Right, that very dark and dingy video I shot with Mr. Urs Heckman himself was just a way that I could introduce the actual RePro 5, which is now out as part of the RePro package, which you can buy now. So that's, and Yuhi seemed to be, even though, I filmed that back in March or April, and it still seems okay. They seem to be one of those software companies who are able to be months and months away from schedule, and yet still don't seem to get any kind of like flack for it at all. But it's supposed to be a really brilliant, because they've put a lot of work into it. I was going to come to you, yeah, because you were saying the Rev 2. Do you use any of the Yuhi plugins in your setup?
Yeah, I have the Hive, and I really like it. I have, some comments about the UX and UI. But it's a really great synth. I really like the basic sound of. I've tried some of the plugins, the instruments. I settled for the Hive because it's kind of, I don't know, straightforward sort of 2-oscillator synth. Obviously, it has a lot of modulation capabilities and things like that. But the basic sound is pretty good, and yeah. And from what I can hear, they sort of kept the same level of detail and headroom and fatness in the Pro 5.
Yeah, I think that they seem to do. They've gone with this one. They've gone for a very straightforward interface in terms of it looking like the hardware representation, the software representation of the hardware. I know you guys, that there's no kind of well, at least I don't think there's any kind of beef between you guys. I mean, you and he's a great guy, great coder. I've interviewed, I don't know if I did the Meet the Makers thing. It was a really interesting conversation, top chap, and of course Howard Scarr works with them as well, designing stuff. Have you checked this out, guys? Either of you?
I haven't. But I mean, honestly, Urs' stuff, top of the tree. In fact, I put Howie and Urs together years and years ago. That's one of those moments that comes back to bite you on the arse occasionally, doesn't it? But no, I mean, Urzi's stuff, everybody knows it's top. And the thing is, it's interesting because we were talking about this as part of the email that you sent out. It was this idea of people allowing people to be not necessarily late, but for releases to kind of, get extended, as it were. And obviously everybody knows, we were very guilty of announcing things before they were ready. And then a couple of years ago, we just went, we're not doing that anymore. We're only releasing stuff when it's ready to go. And there were many reasons that things end up getting delayed, mostly fixes and stuff. And I know, it's weird. I've been doing some consulting for a company, and they were saying about they don't want to release anything until it's ready. And they made some noises in advance, and it tends to backfire. And certainly you end up kind of listening to the noise of the internet and whatnot and trying to accommodate as many people as possible. But I think one of the key reasons, and I'm sure I can speak for us both on this, that we decided, no, it will only be released when it's ready, is that when you announce things in advance, what that does is that then puts, with all the noise of the internet, that puts unnecessary pressure on the engineers. And they're quite delicate people generally, and they don't like being out of their comfort zone. And it seemed to be unfair because you're going, look, we've announced this when, and they're going, well, it's got to be right and whatnot. And they get kind of anxious. The thing with Urs is he is the main engineer. And I think what's really fascinating is that, so when you have an engineer go, look, I'm not saying this is the case because I haven't really paid too much attention to the development cycle of this, but in Urz's situation, people are far more likely to go, oh, give them some breathing space if the engineer goes on and says, actually, I need a break or I need to go away for a couple of days and just recharge the batteries. And I think that's, I've got a lot of respect for Urz, and I like a lot of the way he runs the company. I love his NFR policy, all that kind of stuff. So yes, look, anybody who's anybody in this industry knows that RePro 1 is good and RePro 5 is as good. So, yes, there you go.
Excellent. Rich, I know, do you use any Yuhi stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Love
it. Absolutely. Let's see. Zebra. I have Zebra. I have a copy of Ace around here. I think I own a copy of Diva. I'm not sure if I own Diva. Diva's wonderful. But and Hive is great. And this thing is awesome. RePro 1 was fantastic. Now, I'm not sure what all this is really about with the delay aspect, because I don't think RePro 1's been out for much more than a year, and it wasn't a couple of months before they announced RePro 5 in beta. And as you point out, he's both the owner and the engineer, so he can delay things as long as he wants. And they tend not to put things out until they're fairly magnificent over there, as we know. So I don't really feel like it's been too long to wait for this thing, especially when you consider that if you bought RePro 1, it's free.
That is true. Yes.
I mean, in other words, it's not like you're waiting for something that you paid for or put money towards. You bought RePro 1 thinking that was it, and it was magnificent, and you're using it, and I've got it on patches here, and I love the thing. It sounds fantastic. And then they've got this great sort of tweak head mode where you can basically take the front panel off and look at virtually look at the circuit board and tweak things on it to change the way the instrument responds. That's pretty cool. I mean, whether, to whatever extent it actually resembles the component modeled version of same, I don't know, but it's pretty damn cool. And the thing sounds magnificent, and all his stuff sounds great. I have nothing but great things to say about Yuhi and their products. It's
excellent.
Beautiful.
Well, it's a hit all round then. That's good news. Yeah, I think it's part of the bundle. I think at the moment it's $99. You get the RePro 1 and RePro 5. And it's going up in January, I think, to $149 for the bundle. So it'll be, in fact, I think I've got a page here somewhere which will probably show. Oh, no, that's the wrong button, isn't it? It's Christmas. What can I say? Yeah, so it still says it's public beta, so I'm not sure whether they've updated the website yet, but we did get a press release to say that it had arrived anyway. But yeah, all cool stuff. While we're on the subject of soft synths, there's this other one from Sugarbytes as well. This is called, now if I can pronounce it correctly, Aparillo. Complex sound generator, which we believe features 16 voices with 2 FM operators per voice, and all kinds of funky nonsense with
is a dual FM operator synthesizer with a unique and highly customizable unison mode to modulate individual voices differently from each other to create complex atonal and emotive sounds. It makes sounds like I've never heard before. It's like a movie soundtrack machine. I'm going to start from the back and work towards the actual FM operators for this overview, because the orbiter, which is a new and interactive way to morph the sound, gives a great overview of the sound shaping possibilities, plus it's just really cool to play with. Let's load up this coinery patch and make some sound.
That looks interesting. An interesting kind of like almost children's jewel box kind of interface there. But it does sound nice, and it's interesting. There seems to be a movement towards synthesizers or sound generators that will generate more massive textures, less, I mean, obviously melodic stuff, but more about these occupying these massive sort of sound worlds and kind of scapes, and which I suppose kind of makes a certain amount of sense. I don't know, guys, are you kind of I mean, the stuff that you do generally is sort of instrument specific and is geared more towards the traditional melodic stuff, but this Sugarbytes do some great stuff, actually. I don't know what you thought of this.
Do you know, I hate to say it, I didn't unfortunately I didn't look at this.
Okay.
Only because of time constraints, and you know what I was doing, trying to get things ready today. But that looked interesting. I was looking at that, going, straining at the eyes, going, oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, they could have gone full screen. Video bandwidth is cheap. Maybe they're trying to save some cash. I don't know. Yoad, I know we chatted a little bit sort of previous to the show. You weren't quite sure what the setup was, but I mean, do you when you're
I downloaded the demo since, and I'm quite familiar with it now, I think.
Wow, cool. Quick work.
It's very impressive. I mean, I really like the orbit thing. I think it's a great way of doing it. The way you have this kind of gravitation towards, like when you get close to a node, it kind of stretches wires and then it becomes active, and then the more you get close to it, you get it. Basically the mix between the different nodes. Usually it's 3 nodes that you as you get closer to them, they get, the amount increases, which is a great idea because you can see the wires, the little kind of wires that indicates that you're basically magnetized or captured or something.
Is that that's the orbiter here, isn't it? This thing, yeah.
And that's a really clever way of producing of UX basically. What I would say is that when you start with the init patch, they're all kind of blank. So nothing happens when you move when you move your mouse on the screen. So I would like to see like an kind of initial amount which does something, even
right,
on the init patch. Yeah. I know it's so because you have about 20 of those nodes or little ground things, and if you need to right click and set the amount and the amount and shape for each one, it's a little bit kind of boring. I didn't have much time to explore it in depth, but it would be a nice thing to basically enable patch loading, which is partial, which is something like we do in Element and Codex. I'm not trying to plug it, but I'm just saying that you can sometimes can recall, when you recall a patch, you can just flag out some of the parameters so they are not being recalled. So basically,
so you could just say change the oscillators or just change the envelopes or just change. I see, yeah.
Exactly. So, or you can just load this orbital or orbit patch into one of your existing working patches. So that can save a lot of time. So, I know it's a nightmare to change the preset structure of a synth and of any plugin or any product basically. But this is something that definitely came to mind. I really like their LFO. I don't know if you can show the the part of the bouncing balls thing, which is the LFO. Yeah, I think you have it. Yeah, that's the one. So basically, it's kind of a step, basically a step or sequence generator or a step generator, which goes through 16 steps, and that's how you create your LFO wave shape, basically. So you can it's a very untraditional way of approaching an LFO. Basically, it takes it out of being an oscillator, a low frequency oscillator, and more into being a arpeggiator or whatever. And there's a lot of randomness and jitter, which is kind of random value offset between the different steps. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I There's something I like about Sugarbytes products, and something I'm not so much into. I mean, I love Looperator, and I use it. When they released Cyclope or Cyclone or something like that, I wasn't into that. I mean, it had a nice GUI, but it was so complicated to use, and then I felt that it was using the same kind of effect chains that they've been using elsewhere, and things like that. But I think that this
Aparillo.
Aparillo synth is it's a nice balance between the I don't know, the sonics that you can achieve with it, and the kind of UX, the unique approach to UX that they've tried to introduce. So I think it's a nice balance. It seems very usable, but also it's one of those things that allow you to just change stuff on the screen, and it generates noises, and which can sometimes be very interesting. And so I haven't, like I said, I only had like 5 minutes with it, just before the show, and I don't know how about trying to plan a patch like you do with FM, when you plan the structure and the relationships between the operators. Also, it has only 2, but as far as just turning stuff on the screen and getting some unpredictable and interesting and very good sounding results, it sounds pretty good.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
What I
for
would say,
checking out.
what I would add is that I've noticed, maybe I'm wrong, but I've noticed that the filter is in the effects section, and it's actually a monophonic filter. So basically, it's triggered by last note, and this is something that I find. So I haven't really explored the whole polyphony versus unison mode that they have there, so I'm not quite sure about that. But it definitely gets re-triggered by last note.
Right.
So that's it. It's in the effects section, so it's possibly paraphonic rather than polyphonic, but it still sounds good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out as well. Rich, are you? I mean, when I mean, the sound of the demo sound kind of nice. What is it that makes when you see something like this? What is it that makes you go, yeah, I'd really like to try that? I mean, what is it that compels you to maybe kind of want to own something when you see it for the first time?
Usually, the sound of it is the
Right.
first thing. Because if it doesn't sound good, I don't care. It could be the greatest, UI in the world, but if it doesn't interest me as a sound device, then I wouldn't be interested. But this thing does sound good, and I think had pretty much covered this thing perfectly, and I can only say kudos to him on his evaluation, because it's far more comprehensive than I could ever do. It did sound and look interesting. It seems a little tweaky to me. I don't imagine it's something I would launch with the intention of going to something. It just seems like a place where I could go to make interesting results, unpredictable results, and find things in. But it doesn't seem like an applied use. It's more of I could get lost in this thing all day kind of use that I could see for this thing. And it kind of combines a little bit of the sort of reactory things I've been seeing and some of Tim Exile's ideas, and that modulation thing in the center with the LFOs bouncing off of each other and creating random pseudo seeming random type stuff. It was all very interesting to me. And he was going really, really fast through this demo in the video, which for the most part I could keep up with, but some of the things I could have spent more time with. So seems like a cool thing for somebody who wants to get lost in a software synthesizer for a while.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's $99 or €99. I forget which. So yeah, if you want to check it out, it does look like pretty thick. I think it follows all the usual formats, AU, VST, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you need to go to sugar-bytes.de to check it out, which I think I have on the page here. Right, this is the perfect opportunity to have a word from let's talk about iZotope. Of course, this is Ozone, one of the go-to mastering setups in software, now at version 8. Master Assistant allows you to kind of gets you started on a session with kind of where do you want to go with this, what's the delivery platform, and really kind of intelligently assesses the audio that you're working with and gets you kind of a good starting point that you can then deviate or choose to use. It's entirely up to you. We've also got the tonal balance control, which allows you to, once you've set your kind of criteria, it gives you this split frequency to show you roughly in what sort of area of energy in each of the frequency domains that you're working on. It's actually a really useful visual tool. Also allows you to hook up with other instances of Neutron 2 and Ozone that you might have in the same session. So while you're working on the file master, you can tweak other instances from within the same GUI, and that means you're not jumping around quite so much and just makes the whole mix process a little smoother. The other thing that you could do obviously is you can work with other audio tracks, so you can flip between tracks, reference tracks. You get a whole folder full of them, just A B, and that really again helps you get this. Anything to make mixing easier. For some of us it's a really difficult process, and the ability to use visual representation as well as the machine learning and stuff that Ozone 8 gives you, then it really does help. So once again, we thank iZotope for their provision of the prize this week, and we'll get on to that. So if you want to check it out, you go to iZotope.com/ozone, and that'll get you there. So let's get to the competition. Last week we asked you, if you can find the right mouse, I've got a lot of Mises here. There we go. Last week we were asking for Mastering Expert and Ozone 8. We have a winner. The winner is somebody called Gistovit. That's the Twitter handle, Gistovit, Gistovit. You're the winner. Mix better, make more music, which sounds like a pretty good maxim to work from. Hopefully, if you get in touch with us, Gistovit, then I guess that's gist of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I'm too focused on the technology around me. I didn't get the simple punnery of that. So gist of it. That's probably it. And do get in touch, and we'll put that in to your inbox. The kind people at iZotope will do that. And we've got another competition this week. We're looking for the hashtag #4mixing. So the hashtag #4mixing and the hashtag Ozone 8 to @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc. So if you want to win a copy of Ozone 8, you need to tweet the hashtag #4mixing and the hashtag Ozone 8 to @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc. And that'll get you entered into the competition. Thanks again to them for providing the prize this week. Much appreciated, and for supporting us over the entire year and beyond. Thank you very much. Sorry, Dave, you were about to interject. I didn't hear what it was. You very kindly stopped while I was in full flow.
No, I was just taking the mickey out of you getting it wrong. I was thinking that'll be that whatever that was you were drinking earlier.
Oh, you mean the King's Ginger? Yes.
King's.
Apparently, actually, the king could well be ginger in this country. If it's which one of the two? The one of the princes is redhead, isn't it? So it could actually be a fairly true statement. Anyway, right. Here we go. Now, this is something new. I mean, we've seen a lot of controllers coming out, and this is something I've not seen before. But it reminds me, what was it? There's a hell of a lot of this. I think I'm going to roll because this is actually a fairly dreadful bit of intro music. Here we go. Come on. There we go. So it's a little bar that sits under a keyboard that allows you to kind of use your hand to make expression, pitch bend and mod. It's kind of an interesting idea, actually. Although, obviously, this is working on a very small keyboard. I don't know how long it gets, but... Now, I was trying to remember, Dave, you'll know this. Sorry, Dave? What's that keyboard that was Telstar, which had the it had the keyboard that moved?
Oh yeah.
No,
Clavier line, was that?
not the on Martina. It was clavier. Maybe it was the clavierline. It looked a bit like an accordion, and the
Clavier
keyboard
line.
just sort of, the keyboard would do that. It had a little bit of travelling. It reminds me a little bit of that.
Isn't there a Korg, vintage Korg 09? That has that little bar on the front foot.
Ah, the PS. No, that Yamaha, that PS preset thing. Yeah, it's got the bar on. You can have vibrato and stuff like that.
Vibrato.
I didn't get as far. I
cool.
didn't see this video. I'm intrigued by that. So how does this work? Because the website, I got to say, their website's a bit GeoCities 1991.
Yes, I would agree. It's basically USB and MIDI, and it looks like it just sits. I mean, I guess maybe it comes with this keyboard. I don't know what that is. That little controller, but it just struck me as an interest because I mean, obviously,
it's a Korg. It's a Korg Mini, not Nano, but I think Korg Mini keys.
Okay. It's got waterfall keys as well, but I guess that's irrelevant. But it seems to fit the small soloist type of keyboard that maybe you'd get on top of you put on top of an organ. But yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to come to you, Rich, actually, as well, because I know you've over this year sort of fallen in love with Roly and the expression that can bring, but it is a challenging process to learn it and be able to play it kind of effectively. Something like this looks kind of cool, though. I like the idea of it. What do you make of it?
$350.
No, it's not. That's Australian dollars, so it's about $200. So about 250 US, I would say, somewhere in that region. Price aside,
I have zero interest in this thing, and I have tons of interest in that thing. So that should give you an idea of how I want to adapt my technique from this one to that one. And the time spent in learning to play it is some of the most rewarding time I've spent in my entire life. So the idea that I'm going to relearn to play the piano with some kind of like bar in front of it is not interesting to me.
Not for you. Okay, fair dues. No. Rich, sorry, Dave. Does it remind you? Does it remind you a little bit of the George Duke thing? The Duke. What did he have? What was the wham? Oh, that was a whammy bar, wasn't it? That wasn't quite the same thing.
Oh yeah, no, but he had that Dukey stick thing, didn't he? The whammy bar on the whammy bar. Was he the guy? He had the whammy bar on the clavier, didn't he? Or the Dukey stick? That was the.
It's an Australian guy who has a whammy bar too on his clavinet.
Right. Okay,
yeah, he does all the Hendrix stuff. That's awesome. No, I kind of. I went to this page and I was desperately looking for the video because I still don't really understand what it is. It's a bar that sits on the front of your normal keyboard, or does it come with that keyboard?
I think it sits on the front. If we go back to here, it
so
sits on the front.
Basically, from what I understand, it just generates pitch bend in 3 different axes. So if you push it forward, I presume you can assign which one will do what, but if you push it forward, it's like a semitone. If you push it sideways, it's 3 semitones, and if you push it backwards, so it's something like that. So you can assign how it will basically affect the amount of pitch bend. That's all it does.
Okay, I got it.
Okay,
that's interesting.
Thank you.
So. Well, first of all, I wanted to kind of, because obviously there's we got the Expressive Touche and those kind of things. I'll come back to you, Johan. Actually, when I've caught him, took a drink on. He took a drink. I'll join you there. Oh, there's not much left in this, and I'm not having any more. Cheers. So, I mean, do you tend to go for straight controllers, or does the sort of enhanced controller side of things interest you?
I mean, that would be an interesting. Well, basically, I'm a guitarist. I have synths and I design synths and stuff like that. But I'm actually a guitarist, so the amount of guitar to MIDI controllers I have is, I think, quite impressive. And I basically use none of them because,
like the rest of us,
because they're not very good, and I keep trying to find the ultimate one. I suppose that this one, since it's basically controlling pitch bend, then it's monophonic anyway, because pitch bend affects your whole MIDI channel, entire MIDI channel. So if you play something polyphonic, it will get affected as well. So I suppose that for a monophonic kind of playing, I can get by with my TG55. I think it's TG, the Roland thing, which is quite good. You know, so and also from what I can, there's not many videos of this vibe bar. From what I could gather, on one of his own videos, I forget the guy's name, the actual Korg keyboard kind of moved, you know, slided off the table while he was playing. So that would be a kind of an issue, like, because it's a very, you know, it doesn't have any weight. This keyboard is nothing, and if you apply pressure and stuff like that, then things would move about, which is not. This is something I'm definitely not into. So if it was kind of solid, if it came with its own keyboard, maybe, and it was like, I don't know, be sitting firmly on the table, then maybe, yeah. I think it's a nice idea, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it follows on. It's sort of a similar kind of vibe to the Espressivy Sonic Touche, except that is much more. That's 4 independent axis with up to, gosh, I don't know how many. I think it's 12 controls you can have in various degrees, positive and negative, whatever. So that's, in fact, I think I mentioned that in the product for 2017. So that's a kind of good. I mean, I know you guys. Are you? I mean, you've got all those keyboards there. Obviously, you can play a bit, but do you ever hanker after some other controller that you could just think, if only I could, whatever?
I keep wanting it to come down and have a go on that Roly that you've got. I think that's the only thing that really makes me...
This seems like an awful lot of money just to control pitch monophonically.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point.
Pitch bend.
When you can have a bender. I do like my Roland Bender. In fact, I started looking at this. What's it called? The Vibe Bar. My wife came in and thought I was buying her some kind of naughty Christmas present.
I don't think it is motorized in any way. I don't think it has any. Shall we say it doesn't have any haptic feedback?
Oh dear. No. Joking aside. No. Because you spend years kind of developing a technique. I mean, I do love I keep saying it like it's some kind of schoolboy humour joke, the Roland Bender. I do like the Roland Bender a lot because you can flick it and you can do all those kind of little things. I get on much better with that than I do, standard Moog pitch wheel.
Right.
But what really fascinates me is the Roly at the minute. And I spent a little bit of time when we went up to Kent's with his, but it wasn't set up, like perfectly. And for me at the minute, I can see us doing a few things with that. Chris is the money man, so
I love the idea that somebody who's as proficient as Rich has taken to the Roly as a new tool to broaden his horizons, to change the way he thinks about making music. I think I know you're not talking really about the Roly, but that to me seems to be the and loads of people, wouldn't it? I mean, Robbie's heat praise on it. Ty, again, Kent loves it. And I mean, we were promised an awful lot with things like Eigenharp and stuff like that, but it's a whole different kind of kettle of fish. I mean, I do love alternative.
I got one of those. I've got an Eigenharp Pico somewhere in the shelves back there. Have you tried the Roly? I imagine they probably tried to pimp it to you quite heavily because they go for industry types, quite hard. So
the thing is, most of what I do is keyboard kind of orientated, but I don't consider myself a proper player. I can get by. I do stuff, and I use it in all my productions, and I do play and stuff like that. But I think that the Roly is above my kind of pianist skills, so I don't think I would make the most of it.
Right.
And for the price, I would be very happy to get one, but I think that for the price, it's kind of, I'm still gonna search for the ultimate MIDI guitar thing.
One. Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, I think that's a fair. I mean, I tried playing it a bit, and I just found that for me, my hands just aren't physically configured right to, without a lot more practice, because I don't play keyboards a lot, so my hands aren't they haven't got that sort of muscle memory and strength in so much anyway. So I just found it quite difficult. But yeah, each to their own. Let's have a look. Vibe, gosh, we're sort of there. Do we want to get to difficult music? I know that Johan had a topic about cloud storage and that side of things, because obviously, we do periodically talk about this in terms of delivery, whatever. I think the last thing we talked about was this Swan audio side of things. And I don't know, Rich, because you were saying last time we spoke that what was it that you used to transfer files? I can't remember what it was. I hadn't heard of it. Was it Box or Box?
Box.com is my favorite of the file transfer places.
Okay.
For me.
I got you.
That's not specifically linked to DAW behavior. For example, Gobbler offers various interfaces that relate specifically to certain DAWs. But as far as just general file distribution, I think that Box.com is preferable for me to Dropbox or WeTransfer or even Google Drive, which works fine if you're sending to somebody with a Google account, but if not, they're going to get besieged to join up, and I can't have that.
That's true. That's a bit trickier. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether because you were mentioning that you've been kind of, because you live a lot of your life kind of moving between locations, so you have to synchronize your assets to a lot of places. Are you talking about actual full sessions, or is it more just the final results of each one?
Absolutely. I'm not. So I'm the file sharing kind of thing is, I think that every service has it, and I haven't tried Box, which has some dedicated audio kind of features, but I don't have a problem sharing my Dropbox link or Google Drive or Amazon Drive link at the moment. My concern, and this is something that I've been investigating for the past month, is how to get 25 terabytes or so up there, with random access, and a way to basically see everything like SmartSync on Dropbox. But Dropbox, it seems like each one of the services has some kind of annoying limitations. For instance, OneDrive, you can get away with kind of 5 terabyte on the relatively cheap. I mean, the cheapest one out of the lot, if you're not considering Hubby C, which is, I don't know if it's, what's the deal with it? It seems a little bit dodgy. Everyone says it is. Not sure about that, which is very cheap. But the OneDrive, the Microsoft OneDrive, doesn't allow you to upload what they call special characters, which is just question mark and hashtags and things like that. So it kind of complies with MS-DOS, I don't know, FAT32 kind of, which seems a little bit. I mean, come on. And so, and with Dropbox, you have to ask them for each additional terabyte that you want to use. And Google Drive is that there's a jump between 2 terabytes and 10 terabytes, which is a big jump in price. And I can go on forever. So I thought it was an interesting topic to get into. But I mean, more than the few minutes we have right now.
I agree. I mean, I think one of the things I will say, I mean, because over Christmas is kind of, if you're thinking about getting into this, I mean, it's a good time to maybe transfer large amounts of files. I mean, I'm sure the internet will be busy, but it might be that one isn't, and so your machine could be sitting there transferring. But I did find, because I was looking at this, because we're going to NAMM next year. Obviously, that's coming up. That's the next big event on our calendar. January 24th, we'll be there doing our usual thing. But one thing, I got a bit of news from the NAMM people, and they said this is the amount of press bandwidth there is for internet, which is, to be honest, if I'm going to have to clarify it, but it looked like a very small amount of bandwidth to share between the 100 or so, or plus however many press there are. I mean, it's like 30 megabits or something, which is next to nothing. I mean, it's going to be unworkable for everybody. But so I was looking into all these other things, and one thing I did come across was this thing from IBM called Aspera, high-speed file transfer, and I've got to look into it, but it doesn't use the standard transport, so it could just fire up data much, much quicker, and you can work with Dropboxes and things. I've still got a bit of research to do, but it takes, reduce transmission times by up to 99%, which is quite a big deal. I don't know what you need for that to work, and it's one of those things that you have to kind of talk to a representative, so it might actually be prohibitive, but there might be resellers out there. But that strikes me as one of the things that would really help, the ability to be able to transfer files fast, sort of as fast as your own network theoretical capacity or more. I know you guys, Dave and Chris, I mean, you presumably have to move, if you're working on, you know, sample based stuff, I mean, are you moving large amounts of data around on the internet? I mean, do you kind of do that as well?
Yeah, Dropbox, WeTransfer, Amazon, AWS, S3 stuff.
Yeah.
And motorcycle couriers.
Pigeon.
Yeah, whatever it takes, really.
Smoke signals.
Yeah, if you want a VST plugin via carrier pigeon, we can arrange that.
Excellent. You could have it as a delivery option. I think that would be really awesome.
Horse and cart.
Yeah, recumbent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, actually making a slow delivery an option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Postman by foot within the next month. Rich, sorry.
It's my harbinger of doom delivery service.
Actually, I will have to
get
say
it by recumbent.
you pick it up.
Waiting for my G-Force harbinger of doom T-shirt.
Yeah. It's like whenever there's a beta copy to go out to Rich, it's like, let's send it via carrier pigeon.
You'll be lucky.
Because we don't want to know what's coming back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that does raise an interesting question. I mean, the UK government, for instance, have tried or discussing the idea of a directive which means that 20 megabits will be available everywhere by 2020, which is kind of an ambitious concept. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because each country has its own restrictions on the way that they sell internet bandwidth as well. I mean, like in the US, it's quite convoluted if you want high speed and high transfer, and in Australia, it's even worse. I mean, you travel around a fair bit, Rich, touring and what have you. I mean, where do you find that you get the best internet connectivity outside of your home connection?
It sometimes it's in the strangest place. It's not like this country, but not that country, and it's not all these 5-star hotels instead of these 3-star hotels. It's really kind of hard to predict. And even I think within a given hotel, it can vary widely, I have found. So I don't have a good, clear, easy answer for you for that one.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
Nick, I've been in the Netherlands a bit this year, and I think they're working towards 50 megabits per second for all their
which ain't bad.
population.
It ain't bad. It ain't bad. I mean, I think in the UK, I mean, here we've got fibre, so we've got, I think it's 20 up and 70 down, which is, obviously we can do this show on that, and that's fine, and that's just standard business class, and it's not an exceptionally high. I think it's about 50 quid a month, which seems very reasonable. I know you had it. I mean, is there have you had experience in terms of what is the if you're going to do a mix somewhere and you think I'm going to have to deliver that, how the hell that's going to work? You're going to have to think about Pigeon because the internet's so bad.
Well, I mean, not really. I think that everything is kind of, wherever you go, it's kind of reasonable, I guess, unless something goes wrong. But this is not quite the issue that concerns me. What concerns me, since I do have a symmetric 100 megabit per second connection, and I use it a lot, and so for the most it would be the upload time that would be the kind of culprit.
Yeah.
But since I have a symmetric connection of 100, and it's really fast, and it's like a hard drive basically. You upload 30 gigs in 5 minutes or something like that, or 6 minutes or whatever. So, or maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it's 9 minutes or something. But still, it's really quick, and therefore. And since I move around quite a bit, and all my computers, all my laptops, and the computers in the studio, wherever I go, they're all synchronized via Dropbox. So I actually record, my projects are actually done in Dropbox. So I save as the project. Yeah, for years I've been doing it. So my project, when I create a new folder, it's my project folder is in Dropbox. So as soon as I do something and I play and record something, record audio or save as or whatever, it goes up to Dropbox, it goes back to another computer in my studio, like a server, that then uploads it to Backblaze as backup, and then it synchronizes to other laptops. So it's all kind of there all the time. And what I really need is some decent storage space with random access, so I can access it. There's some services like Expand Drive, which allow you to basically see, because the annoying thing with Dropbox is that you have to sync and unsync these folders, because on the laptop I only have 500 gigs of storage on the internal drives, and if you put, since I work into that folder, I need it to be SSD as well. So I have a very limited amount of storage I can assign to Dropbox. So I need to sync and unsync and sync and unsync all the time. Now with SmartSync, which Dropbox provides, so services like Expand Drive and O Drive, you can actually see all your online. The difference between SmartSync, which is just a Dropbox sync, and Expand Drive and O Drive. So Expand Drive and O Drive allow you to log into different services like Amazon, Google Drive, and all those, and have different accounts in all of them. And each one basically gets mounted as a drive. And on this drive, you see all your offline files as if they were on your computer, but they have a little cloud icon, so they don't take any space of your hard drive. But if you do need them, you just double click and it's there. So you can actually load a logic session by just double clicking on a file that is not even on your computer. Then it will sync it and do that. And you can actually copy between Amazon and Google Drive by just dragging the folder, which is not even on your computer. So these are the kind of things that I'm into lately, but I just need the storage space. And it seems very tricky to get a good service that will do it. I don't mind paying the money.
Right, but it's the actual size of... okay, I see. No, interesting. Yeah. That sounds like a really promising, and particularly if you've got super fast stuff. Anyway, I think we're probably getting towards that part of the show where it's kind of time to say goodbye and happy Christmas to everybody. And it's been a pleasure, as ever, having you all here. Don't forget, I'll just quickly reiterate, we want to say thank you very much to Bitwig. Do check out Bitwig 2.2.2. I think bit.ly/getbitwig was the URL. And also don't forget, if you want to enter the competition to win iZotope Ozone 8, we're looking for the hashtag 4mixing and the hashtag Ozone 8 to @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc. So just go ahead with that. And I guess we're kind of down to that last little bit. So I know you chaps, it's been lovely to have you. It's really great to see you again, Chris. I can't wait to actually. Oh no, we were going to have a look around your place, weren't we? Can we have a quick? Is that going to break anything? Can we quickly have just a look?
Yeah. Let's
leave everything on a high note. Yeah. So try not to pull over any computers or anything.
Yeah, it could be chaos. Okay, Chris, I'll have to stay by the microphone. He can call out what we see.
Okay. Well, maybe what I'll do while we're doing...
where they have the little conveyor belt going past.
I'm sure everyone can hear you anyway.
Yeah, if I shout out.
Right. Oh, my Lord.
Okay, so... Mini Moog and Wurlitzer.
Wurlitzer visualizer and the Mini Moog. Optigan. And probably the most expensive synth we've ever had, the Korg Micro X. No laughing at that. Obviously, we all know those. Yes. Oh, there's a little brother. Little brother on top of the 8 boys. Underneath, we've got the CS80. And then here we've got some
AKS
Synthy.
Yes.
We can hear him actually, Chris. Thank you. It's
and the Rev 3 Prophet 5 and the JP8 and the Pro DGX and Imp controller. And over there we've got a Prophet 10.
I didn't know you had one of those.
And then we got a bit of a string machine thing going on, 5 going on there. Freeman. That Mad Selena. Synth.
Yeah.
Selena. This is where all the Chamberlain stuff's got to go. I don't know how we're going to fit it in there, but that's an Orchestron. And then this is kind of tap corner. nothing of any real note. Apart from that, we like that, and obviously I love the clavy.
So a minute mode.
We like, and then we like the SY1 or 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chris, all that.
2.
String machine, CS30, wave station, the one I blew up by plugging it into the wrong power supply, which is now fixed, and obviously the Holy Grail of synthesis, which everyone loves, the DX7, and then we've got modular stuff over there with, and the 2600s over in the corner there, and then we've got all this here, and then we've got that there, and this is amazing, we really like this, that's fat as anything, and you will never see one of these working. But this does work.
Is that Simmons drum sequencer? Wow.
And then with the Roland and an Andromeda. And then we come over here and we've got Odysseys, Oscar, Wasp, MS-20 original. Love that 800 dB. And then we've got 6-track and 600. And a Rev 2 Prophet 5, love that, absolutely love that. SSN chips, Vocalist. These are a bit of a wild card. 2 multi-tracks, they're a bit strange. And we've got 101, 8000, SH2, that now needs some work, we found out. 8000, BP330, D50, W30. And there you go, that's it really.
Dave, I've got a tip. That's awesome. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, a round of applause for the synth tour there. Good work. I've got a tip for you though. If you want to save some space, you should really consider getting a bunch of Roland boutiques because you could actually reclaim a whole bunch of that stuff back.
Maybe a Behringer or two.
Oh, that's nice. What's that? Is that an AMAC? Is that...
Hang on.
Looks like an Aries.
A spider, a wasp, a labeler, essential, and what was Robbie's old polygamist.
Ah,
There's a load of stuff down there.
Wow. God, it really is impressive.
Wow.
That's taken a while to get.
Doing all the soldering.
Oh man, how are your fingertips, Chris?
Great.
Good. I'm glad to hear
There
it.
you go. There's your Christmas
Working
treat.
that off the rest of your life, Dave.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I can only imagine. Well, there's 2 things to consider here: A, electricity bill; B, ongoing repair bill. That's the.
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, we put stuff in and it's like, right, Chris will solder up. So we're doing it in sections. So each of the sections goes into a submixer that then comes into the desk. So the submixer takes 8 stereo feeds. And then, of course, so Chris will do all the soldering up, get it to the desk, and then we'll go, right, we're going to test that area out. And invariably, there's something that's like, broken. No, there's a fair few bits of that.
So have you got any other storage there where all the broken stuff lives?
Yes.
So
and there are other synths up in there as well. And obviously, I've still got synths at home. So
we've also got some
Mellotrons.
Yeah, Mellotrons, Chamberlains, drum machines.
And then various people who work with us.
CS60s.
Oh, CS60 we've still got, yeah. Wow. Two JP6s. 2 cat sticks, yeah.
We need a new room.
Yeah, it's not big enough.
Or perhaps you should consider getting some therapy of some description to just sort of like, tame that might be cheaper, even for 2 of you.
Sell the W30.
Yeah. I think you might be right. Sometimes we sit here and go, do you need therapy more than me or do I need it more than you?
And next year we have to pay the loan back.
There is that. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for the tour. It's been a real pleasure as ever, and a very happy Christmas to you and your families and everything. It's been great, and maybe have another fabulous year. And also, I want to say thank you very much. Rich, thank you also for joining us. Hope you get a nice bit of free time before you're back on the road and out again, and have a lovely New Year's Eve.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you very much.
So, Rich, are you playing at the gig? So is this in place of the music that goes to where the fireworks? Because they always
This
used
is
to be
the
like a
music
kind of
that
big
goes up
mashup.
to and after. This is the music that goes up to and after the fireworks on BBC One, as I understand it.
Ah, okay, cool. Oh, that's really funny. I know the guy who used to put all the music
Yeah,
together for those fireworks. He does like the Strictly theme tune and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be winding him up going, you out of a job?
Well, no, they may be actually still doing that. We may be playing up to and after that. I'm not exactly sure
Okay.
how the run of show goes, but we are playing the midnight slot and on the BBC.
Cool.
Nice. Well, it's been a pleasure. Also, Yoad, thank you very much for joining us. Also, I know
Merry Christmas, everyone.
you're only the new guys, your second show, but thank you very much for being available, and I hope you have a great Christmas period. Although,
it so far.
excellent. I don't think it's quite as intense where you are Christmassy wise, anyway. So you don't. It's not celebrated in quite the.
Just got here from London this morning. I'm in Tel Aviv now, doing my waves kind of week this week. Christmas obviously is not such a big thing here in Tel Aviv as much as it in UK, but still, So Merry Christmas, everybody, and I don't know. See you in the new year, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
And
All
thank
the
you
people out there,
to
all
all the listeners. Yeah, everybody who listens and watches and comments. Much appreciated. And we'll see you next year for some more fun and games. That's it for this week. Thank you very much. See you next time.